Please fasten your seatbelts.
I had 11 Olympians and over 800 national champs. And all those men, they wouldn't do half the work that she do. And I'm seeing it from the young ladies. These last 2 years, when you think about it, all the good fights is coming from the women. The guys is ducking each other, looking for the easy way. Hey. I'm telling you like it is, you know? So again, you know, this young lady done did everything I asked of her, and she did more. And I'm watching all the young ladies that's boxing now. It's like they trying to prove they better than men. Now, we knew they was kind of there, but now they showing that they mean. You know, in the old days in Philly, we call these guys crazy. And that's the way these women are. So when you go back home, speak nice to you.
Welcome back. It's Michael Rogers. Welcome to Bodywork Boxing. Man, I had a couple questions today. Man, welcome back, man. Sometimes you gotta take a couple days off from boxing, man. It'll drive you crazy, cuz. Yes, it will, man. Looking at the cards, man, I was hearing a lot of crazy stuff last week, man. A lot of crazy narratives, you know what I'm saying? And I just figured I'd get on here and you know, talk about some of the things that is kind of curious to me. You know what I'm saying? Out here in these boxing streets, man. Let's talk about the truth about Top Rank, man, and where they standing right now in 2023. And I guess we'll start with Tim Bradley. Tim Bradley recently made some comments about Gervonta Tank Davis. And, you know, it's always ironic how critical the staff over there, mainly the commentators, mainly Tim Bradley. Andre Ward kind of took a step back this time. He said, I already know where this going. And if I had to place a bet, I would believe that Andre Ward was a better chess player than Tim Bradley, just being honest with you. Because they had a conversation, you know, in the state of boxing after that fight, and they were talking about Jose Ramirez. And I found it so crazy how critical they were of Jose Ramirez and what's that guy's name? Aduno or whatever. Osuna. Osuna was the only one that kind of kept pushing that, you know, how much money Jose Ramirez could make basically fighting on his own and headlining his own cards. But, you know, the staff, mainly Tim Bradley, you know, he was the one driving home. Andre Ward was kind of just sitting there looking like, man, I already know what they're going to say about this, because he already knows that, okay, if you're going to have a topic about this in boxers, because remember, I told you the bigger bag excuse. I said, how much is enough? Now, in this bigger bag excuse, it's starting to become prevalent, and this is why we're not getting certain fights. And this is going to make sense, but they were going on Jose Ramirez. Basically, they outlined how he didn't fight Zepeda for his nuptials. You know, everybody gave him a pass because, you know, a lot of people look to get married and have, you know, have a union and things like that. So everybody gave him a pass on it, but that was a title shot. So then Regis Prograis, he win the belt. And mind you, they were supposed to fight back in the day. Regis Prograis wins the belt. And he pulls out citing that he could make more money, or it was the bigger bag. He didn't get enough. It was the percentage and the cut and all that. And Regis came out and said, look, if the shoe was on the other foot, they would have rolled with it. They wouldn't have been as flexible. But Regis said he was flexible because I believe that Regis really want to fight the best. But they outlined that whole point and they would drive it at home. And Tim Bradley, he just seemed so disgusted. Like, man, look, man, it's about legacy, man, and this money and all this. But I find it real crazy. I find it real ironic and strange that they don't take that same stance when it come to Bud. They don't take that same stance when it come to Bud. They don't take the same stance in that Errol Spence has all 3 of the belts. Bud has 1. He decided to walk away from the table, and they used the bigger bag excuse, guarantees and all this and all that, knowing daggone well he was gonna make more money than what. And everybody's harping on this whole guarantee thing, and I'm finding it funny how certain fans, they like to harp on certain things. Because right now they worried about Earl paying sanction fees, and before it was, why he doing that at 54? It's all these things, all these question marks, all these critical thinking talking points that they have when it comes to Spence. But everything Bud do is just like, okay, cool. It's the other side. It's the other side. It's crazy how they can look introspectively into Jose Ramirez and see all the error of his ways and how it looks like it's not about legacy when it comes to him. But it's crooked when it comes to Bud. It's crooked when it comes to Bud. And Tim Bradley, I'm getting this error that, I saluted him when he got, into the Hall of Fame. You got to respect a guy that was able to, get himself in the Hall of Fame, because talent-wise, I don't know if people look at Tim Bradley like, oh my gosh, he absolutely deserved to be in there. But his hard work ethic was what got him in there. It was his hard work ethic that got him in there. And granted, he did get some opportunities. He did share the ring with Manny Pacquiao. But he got into the Hall of Fame, and before, I was already real critical of Tim Bradley and Andre Ward anyway, because I see how inconsistent they are, especially when it comes to top ranked fighters, and when they want to push a name and they want to build a fighter and they want to, go forward with the company's agenda. And it's cool. I am a company man as well. I have a company that I work for. I must be a company man. So I understand what it means to be a company man. But I'm just saying, as former boxers, sometimes I think that they have the liberties to be able to color outside the lines and still be a company man, but they don't do it. What are you talking about, Mike? Now that Tim Bradley has become a Hall of Famer, the conversation is different. It's an extra layer of saffron lace. It's an air that he has now as a Hall of Famer. He feels like I'm in the upper echelon, so he takes these civil liberties to be able to speak on these boxers in a whole nother light. And a couple times I've seen Andre Ward looking at Tim Bradley like, hey buddy, getting a little bit aside yourself. But he recently made some comments about Tank and how, he's a piece of, and anybody who put from what he hears or whatever, it's like, man, that energy is never the same against anybody else, man. That energy is never the same against anybody else. But Tim Bradley goes out of his way, and it's really a microcosm of our people. You know what I'm saying? It's really a microcosm of our people, the black people, and how we will go out of our way to throw darts, to throw rocks, to throw stones at each other. We will go out of our way to do so. We'll go out of our way to shame or bring down or taunt or ridicule our own to the utmost. It's not even in the route of where we're going. You know what I'm saying? The GPS is set for this way, and outside of the GPS, we will stop off. We might even back up to miss an exit in which we could just shit on our own. And there's no difference with Tim Bradley, man. I've been pointing out some of the hypocrisy, man, going on with Top Rank Commentary, and I actually was giving them a pass. I actually was giving him a mulligan as I grow, you know, in the social media world and the audience that I'm trying to procure, you know, in this field. You know, I've was always critical of Top Rank, and I was actually seeing that they were actually improving. I was actually seeing that they was actually making some moves, and it actually had me kind of excited, especially with, you know, Big Baby and the moves and the liberties that they gave him, you know, to be able to express himself, how they building him, how they building Shu-Shu. You know, a lot of these young guys, you know, I mean, I think that they all stepping on the gas pedal when it comes to Keyshawn, whether or not he's ready for all of the smoke that he claims he is. That's a whole nother story. You know, but you know, Tim Bradley, man, they have a mainly Tim this time. I was kind of proud of Andre Ward this time, man. And I think it might have been the arrogance of Tim Bradley that actually made Andre Ward step back on this commentary and be like, look, man, let me watch what I say. You know what I'm saying on this one. Let me kind of like be slow to speak and quick to hear on this one, quick to listen on this one, because like I said, it was a couple of times he looked at Tim Bradley like, man, you lunching. And they did have a slight disagreement. And I think it was the fact that Andre Ward really didn't want to speak on the man person, whatever, when it came down to Jose Ramirez. You know, as they were pushing forward. And Tim was real adamant about it. Like, you know, now that I got here, you know, because Andre, he had a little while now to actually come to terms with the fact that he is a Hall of Famer. And I know when it first hit him, you know, but I don't think it went to his head like it did Tim Bradley's. You know, and I was just going to compliment Tim Bradley in the fact that it looked like he was losing some weight. You know, but I am kind of extremely disappointed in the fact that, you know, somebody that came from the area in which they came from was able to reach the heights that they actually reached and, you know, have some success, come up out from up under the wing of their predecessor in Floyd, put on an extravagant event, showcase all this talent. And when the big bright lights come on, they do their thing. Yeah, they had controversy before the fight. And it's supposed to be innocent until proven guilty. The lady come out, she say what she say, and everybody still want to ride with it. But we don't hear any. I don't know. It didn't go viral. I guess it didn't go viral. His take on Dana White in the situation that happened. I don't recall, you know, an in-depth dialogue, you know, in which he went out of his way to talk about Verdejo and what happened. And you know, he's going back to that old thing. And this is what they do. They actually use excuses that they've heard and rehearsed. They've heard somebody say it because, you know, Stephen A. Smith, he kind of excuse me, man. I'm still getting over this little, I don't know what it is. That's why I ain't been going live that much, but still getting over it. So excuse my voice to a certain extent, but they always use this little loophole that they use to say, "Oh man, well, my father told me, man, you a punk if you do this and you do that," with no real justification as to what they're talking about. But it's really just a way to get people to actually have an elevator that they can get on, and that's the floor that they get on. Oh yeah, well, the way I was raised. Not like, you know, not like they don't understand that what happened when people are young. Young people in relationships, crazy things happen. You know, sometimes there's a lot of immaturity going on in these things, and we don't have all of the puzzle pieces. I just find it odd and ironic how we go out of our way when it comes to one of our own. You know, and again, I'm not the only one to say this. There's a lot of colorism in boxing. I don't know if you realize it, but it's so crazy. I got to point this out. There's some light skin, dark skin shit going on in boxing. Boxing. This ain't the first time I said it. I know the algorithms might not be kind, but I'm not looking to be, you know, the Drake of this boxing shit. You know, I have a target market, much like the Lloyd Banks of the world, the Jada Kisses of the world, you know, the Don Trips of the world, you know, where this is a target market that I'm catering to. I don't have to cap, I don't have to cape, I don't have to sell out, I don't have to bandwagon, I don't have to give all these glowing praises for anybody. I'm not affiliated with anybody, with no faction, no clique, no group, not the Hippo's Den boxing community, not the boxing mouth. I'm not affiliated with nobody, so I can speak freely. And I'm always adamant about what I say when I say it. So I just try to keep it 100. I just try to keep it 10 times 10 when it comes to these boxers. And man, it's something that we gotta learn. And it's something that I learned because even in these last couple of days, there was a lot I had to say. But I said, you know what? Sometimes when you don't have anything good to say, just don't say nothing at all. Just don't say anything at all. And I wish, man, sometimes some of the people, especially when you don't know all of the pieces to the puzzle, you don't have all the information. I just think that it would be better if we just reserved our judgment. If we just held off for a second on all the shit that we want to put out there about somebody, not knowing all the facts, because your pride won't let you backtrack some things. It's like you ever put something out there, one day and you were strong and you stood on it and you just knew you was right. You just knew you was on it. And then you come out and you learn that that's not the truth. Your pride will actually get in the way and tell you, oh, no, man, was shit at the time. I thought you cannot just come out and be like, oh, man, I was wrong. A lot of people have a problem with admitting that they were wrong these days. You know what I'm saying? I think that's where humility comes into place, because I would never ask somebody to be humble as having a low value of one's self-worth. I would never ask that, but in error is the time to be humble. And I think that if we took that approach when it comes to judging these boxers, when it comes to judging these fighters, when it comes to just overtly just trashing and just shitting on somebody, especially when the truth come out, and the truth come out that it's not even what you thought it was, man, we kind of owe ourselves to let shit go and change. And the example I would give, man, is there was a point in time when I was on Andre's helmet. I didn't understand. Like, from the outside looking in, just like everybody else, not having privilege to any interviews, not having any inside connects. It was a time when I was on this helmet, I was saying, oh, man, look like he ducking this guy. He looking like he ducking that guy. You know what? Over time, I said, you know what? Let me look at this thing. Let me look at this thing from a higher level. Let me look at this thing from a perspective of a boxer who actually pulled out of a fight. Who knows what the repercussions and the backlash is of him pulling out the fight? Who knows how extensive it was or what kind of time period it was until they say, all right, well, look, we're going to play ball with him, or we're going to give him we're going to roll that ball right down the middle of the mound for him, so he can, we're gonna make it slow and bouncy for him down there, so he can, what I'm saying, as if we playing kickball when he got a fair pitch. How long do we know? But then as I saw, and I said, you know what, this man is saying, hold on, why I want to make this move when I can make that move? I went over there to run towards the smoke, and being on the same label, that didn't happen. So then he made a move. He made a transition. He was talking about it. So I started saying, oh, hold on, man. Maybe I was a little bit overzealous about what I was thinking about Andre. Maybe I need to pull back. Maybe I need to start looking at this guy. And I was on Maul. I was saying, hey, man, because Maul and Andre were in the same category, and I've always was defending Maul and pushing up or whatever. I still do. You know what I'm saying? I still say, hey, man, look, these boxers have personal lives. They're human, taking everything in consideration. And then I said, you know what? One day I was on another show and I was commenting. I said, look, we're going to give Andre the mulligan, man. We got to sit back and look. Even when the information came out about Maul and the personal things, I said, you know what? We're going to give him a reprieve too, because we don't know what be happening. But then what happened? We saw Andre training. We saw him, his name popped up as a possible candidate to be on the undercard. Then we seen him on the undercard. Then he goes in and, he's talking all that talk, and he's saying everything he need to say to be able to, get a fight or conjure up some kind of energy towards the Caleb Plant, towards the David Benavidez, towards the Jamal Charlo. So I'm like, okay, cool. Well, shoot, now we on the path to where we might be able to get Maul and Charlo. But it took a level of me being able to say, you know what, I don't have all the answers. And for me to pivot in my thinking to be able to honestly assess what Andre was doing. And in that, even in his victory, we still saw no videos. We saw no videos about his victory. We saw nothing about the praises about the move that he made. You know what I'm saying? Why? And the real reason why is because if you have to applaud Andre and the move that he made, it'll make you look at Bud a whole lot different. Don't shoot the messenger. Don't shoot the messenger. These are just things that I'm taking in consideration when I listen to Tim Bradley and how he was just shitting on Gervonta Davis. You know, everybody, it's some light skin, dark skin shit. I don't know if you always notice that a lot of people that actually don't like Tank love Bud. One dark skin, one light skin. It's silly. I was telling my lady the other day, I was like, man, it's silly that I even have to point this shit out in boxing. But it's a lot of light skin, dark skin shit in boxing. It's a lot of colorism in boxing. It's a lot of racism in boxing. It's not flagrant. It's not blatant. It's not outright in your face. But it'll be a certain channel that always push negative narratives when it comes to black fighters. But you don't really see who they really rooting for. You just hear they boxing mouths putting out all this stuff. So I just think that sometimes, man, Tim Bradley in the position, I think it's a level of responsibility in his position to, when you don't know all the answers, especially when you're talking about somebody that don't got shit to do with your platform. You know what I'm saying? I can see in the boxing analysis way, yeah, but I don't see how we go out of our way when it's not in your lane to speak on, but you go out of your way. I just think that it demands a level of responsibility, especially as a Hall of Famer, when people are listening to your words and people are looking up to you and people respect what you have to say. I just think that you should be able to exercise a little bit of caution when you speak on certain things. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying Tim was wrong for saying that. I just think that, man, I believe that, you know, he shouldn't come out with the knives and the pitchforks, man, because, man, we only know what might happen in your life, Tim. You know what I'm saying? It's real easy to point them kind of fingers, man, but then you find yourself in a situation and you at the mercy of public opinion, and you want everybody to have your back. You want everybody to, you know, please believe me. You know what I'm saying? So enough about Tim, you know what I'm saying? I just think that it's ironic that he has a whole lot of stuff to talk about Tank. You know what I'm saying? Didn't hear this much about Verdejo. You know, didn't hear this. I didn't hear anything since we stepping out of our lane. I didn't hear anything about Tim on Dana White. I didn't. You know what I'm saying? I just think that it's almost like a form of bullying. Like when you know that you can kind of say things or whatever, and you know it's certain kind of trees, and you know that you got certain kind of back, and I just think that it's certain kind of trees that you go barking up knowing that you can, and it's other trees that you wouldn't dare. You know, you wouldn't dare. But moving on, man. I want to talk about. Let's talk about YouTube hype. YouTube hype, man. It was a YouTuber. It's a YouTuber, right? And when I talk about YouTube hype, I'm talking about Stephen Big Shot Shaw and Brian Norman Jr. You know, both of these guys have gotten a lot of praise on YouTube. I'll be trying to say, man, look, man, I understand that you rock with these guys. I understand that you have a relationship with these guys, or you trying to build, or you got to be an advocate, and you got your pom-poms, and you cheerleading or whatever. But it's like, I think that the YouTube hype is, and I guess with the lack of a better term, it's fucking a lot of these boxers up, man. I'm just going to be honest, man. I mean, from us getting Shakur against Yoshi to us getting Devin versus Lomachenko at a time and on a day that's going to put him at a major disadvantage. I don't know how that happened. And when it comes to Stephen Big Shot Shaw, one of these YouTubers has said that he would beat the shit out of Jared Anderson. Now remember, I came up with a term that I put out there. So a lot of boxing fans that believe they got to be boxing monogamous, right? So the reason why this YouTuber was pushing this agenda that Stephen Big Shot Shaw would beat the shit out of Jared Anderson is because they have loyalty to Wilder, and they feel as though they cannot give Big Baby the praise and the credit that he's deserved as an up-and-comer. You're like, Mike, that sounds crazy. No, it's not. There are a lot of people that are boxing monogamous, right? Like you can only like Bud, you can't like Spence. You can only like Devin, you can't like Tank. You can only like Shakur, you can't like Devin. You know what I'm saying? You can only like Keyshawn, you can't like Frank. You know, and I think that YouTube, man, all of the shit that go on YouTube, yeah, it's good to get the praise and for you to have that feeling and for you to have all these people in the comment section going to war, ready to fight, ready to pull up for each other. But guess what's going to happen? You're going to have to get in the ring and live up to everything that's been put out on YouTube. From the sparring wars, I still want to do my sparring because I think that my sparring show, because they say that sparring is supposed to just be that. So sparring is just supposed to stay in sparring. So I say sparring. It's just like Vegas, right? Because what happens in Vegas is supposed to stay in Vegas. What happens in sparring is supposed to stay in sparring. But we get all these wars. We get all these hype. All this hype. We get all these people telling us, oh, man, he did this. Think about it. We heard about Brian Newman and him dropping Bud in sparring. And we heard about Devin in the spar wars and what he did to Hector Garcia. And we hear about Stephen Big Shot Shaw going all these rounds, multiple rounds with Deontay Wilder. And I'm like, man, is the proof not in the pudding? Is the proof not in the pudding? Maybe what was happening in sparring is not really what the play is. Maybe like you not, because it can help and it can hurt. It can give you everything you need. If a clip can surface with you, you know what I'm saying, a la, let's say, Lubin dropping Berlanga. Okay, so a clip like that come out, it puts everything in favor of Lubin, right? Even though it wasn't supposed to leak out and it made you question Berlanga, right? But then what happened when Lubin got in there with Fondora? Did that help him? But because every time Stephen Shaw, because this name grabbing, this thing where we got to grab and piggyback off these names and we got to, you know, get this traction off of this name because we heard it with Boots. Oh, man, inspiring, you know, blah, blah, blah. It's like, but when the big bright lights come on, just like Devin, when the big bright lights come on, we see something different. We see something different because this sparring and these stories and these spar wars and all this stuff, yeah, it can garner you the praise. Yeah, it can get an extra set of eyeballs. Yeah, it can get you an extra set of followers. Yeah, it can get people maybe want to do some sponsorship with you. Maybe you might get some modeling. Maybe you might get, you know, some co-features, or maybe you might be able to get plugged into another channel that's going to put you out there. But is the spar wars and the things that we hearing online, does it really, really help a fighter? Like knowing that, does it help Deontay Wilder knowing that Stephen Big Shot Shaw went so many rounds with him, only to lose to a Jogba? And so now we got people coming out saying, oh, I thought a Jogba was way better than that. It's like, hold on. So that's the take. And this just goes to show, I was watching the show this morning, this just goes to show the mindset of how fans think. So because I guess the Jogba didn't knock out Stephen Shaw, right? And he went basic when it came to Stephen Shaw. With a basic 1-2, even though he was changing levels, going upstairs, downstairs, you know, he did buckle him like a couple times with that right. But he pretty much kept him at the end of the jab. He changed levels, worked the body, worked the head. He got caught a couple times. And I also said that maybe Stephen Big Shot Shaw might have the best jab in the heavyweight division. You know. But again, just being a jabsmith, that was another thing about being a jabsmith. It's not always going to be able to get it done. And salute to Coach Calvin, because that's like one of the first times I heard that, man, being a jabsmith. But maybe being a jabsmith ain't the best thing. And maybe the fact that it was known that you went all these rounds with Deontay Wilder and that was the attachment you made, and it's like, oh man, okay, so what that mean? You can survive a big shot, right? But what did it do for you in this fight? It had people walking away saying that I thought F.A. Ajagba was better than that, which I think is ludicrous. It's like, no, let's just say you had higher than usual expectations for Stephen Shaw, and the verdict of that fight was that F.A. Ajagba beat Stephen Shaw with the basics. And he didn't even have the better jab. He was more consistent in his output, and obviously the power is more than what he bargained for. The power actually caused Stephen Shaw to put his hands in his pockets. And maybe Stephen Shaw is not as big or as good as you thought he was. Maybe he's not. Maybe that's just the truth of the matter. Maybe he's just not as good as we thought, or the praise or in the YouTube following and all that other stuff that he had got. Maybe that's what it was. I don't know. You tell me. Oh, it's wrong, man. You know I gotta have my music. You know I gotta have my music, man. And I hope my levels is right and everything, but maybe Stephen Shaw wasn't as good as we thought he was. And this Brian Norman, man, like when he first came on, I said, man, this dude is like a ram. You know, he was already getting glimpses in my boxes to watch collection. I said, oh man, he might be able to make it into the boxes to watch or my League of Shadows, you know what I'm saying, with the young up and comers, because the boxes to watch are pretty much established, you know what I'm saying? They're pretty much established in the game. But the way Brian Norman came out, I was like, dang, this dude got tremendous power. But guess what? He didn't have a jab. He didn't work his jab. And I was like, dang, was I ruined by all of the YouTube hype and all of the praise? Was my expectations so high that I was disappointed when I seen Brian Norman? Now, granted, it was that knockdown at the end of the fight that got him where he was going, but let's not get it mistaken. That dude Corey had Brian Norman hurt. And had he been just a little bit better, man, if he had a little bit better technique, if he had a little bit more power, man, that fight could have took on a whole different complexion. He weathered that storm, man. So I just think that YouTube, man, and some of the people, mainly the boxing mouth, put out all these narratives and all this hype and all this bullshit about these fighters, man, and they get you to thinking and believing a certain way because you like that content creator. When we're not really honestly we're not really judging these fights, man. A lot of the shit that a lot of these boxers get credit for is in sparring. It's on YouTube. It's the story around the fighter. It's not the actual fight that take place. And I can't help but think that, man, hey, YouTube is getting out of control, man. Sometimes we gotta pull that back and say, all right, okay, well, what happened when the big bright lights come on? What happened when the big bright lights came on? Oh yeah, you got power. Oh yeah, but we question your gas tank. Oh yeah, you got a good jab, but you ain't got nothing coming behind it. And I heard somebody say, oh yeah, you could jab your way around the world. Yeah, but you can, but some people know how to negotiate that jab. You gotta have something onto it. It gotta be another level to your jab. It gotta be something behind it. You gotta feed off of it. Or maybe Efe Ajagba really does have some power. Maybe you really do have some power. Because according to my notes, you know, I had him coming out in the first round. I said beautiful, crispy jab, very poised. He was aggressive when he wanted to. In the first round, I said Efe Ajagba, he was active. He was changing levels, but he was able to get hit at will. That was in the first round. The second round, I said, oh, he was crispier. Shaw was crispier. His form was great, but he had already been leery of the body shot. In the second round, Ajagba was more active. He had a good 1-2 to the body. Looked like he was setting up for the right. In the third, that's when I said, man, Stephen Big Shot might have the best jab in the heavyweight division. It's snappy, it's crispy. You know what I'm saying? Still, in the third round, Ajagba was still trying to set something up. He tried to counter at times. They were playing who's going to be the best counterer, right? In the fourth round, Shaw wasn't as active. You know, he looked a little bit more cautious. I think that power had already started settling in the third, late in the third and in the fourth. And Ajagba kept doing that body work. And he had more action. In the fifth, Stephen Big Shot, he had several 1s and 2s. You know what I'm saying? But when I looked at, because he's driving off with the left, But that right was looping. It wasn't the form on that. It was a wind up. It wasn't straight. Like it needed to come straight and crispy, just like the jab. But it's a ugly right. I ain't gonna lie. That right that Stephen come with, it's a ugly right. And the fourth, I said the Jogba had good body work, right? And I said that the Jogba was still the aggressor in the fifth. Shaw was landing several ones and twos in the fifth. In the sixth, it looked like he had been neutralized, Stephen Shaw. It looked like he had clearly made a decision. He made a business decision. He was going to keep his hands in his pocket. And in the sixth round, he landed the big left, and he landed a sneaky right. A Jogba did. And at that point, I had it 56-58. And then in the seventh, that's when Tim Brownlee said that Shaw had fell asleep. Boxers can fall asleep in the middle of fights. I think that a Jogba in the seventh, he was more active upstairs and downstairs, and he was throwing the jab. But I was saying, man, the problem with a Jogba at that point was he was kind of overshooting his right. If he would have shot his right for the chest, he would have probably hit Shaw in the head. Right? In the eighth, 47-60 as far as punches. He had success when he was first, Shaw did, but he must have felt that power because, again, I put in my notes, he looked like he's been neutralized. I said that Ajabe, he had the big left, he was doing body work, he jabbed, he had constant pressure, and it clearly affected Shaw. In the ninth, wild left. He tried to catch Ajabe with a wild left at the end of that. You know what I'm saying? And he was active, like he had like spurts where it was like 2 or 3 series where he was active, but he was still neutralized. In the 10th, he was neutralized. In the 9th, for Jogba, he won on activity alone, and he had 2 big body shots. And in the 10th, I had him buckling Shaw with a right hand. And I think I walked away from that fight 92-98. Mind you, Ajagba was a plus 115 going into that fight. And a lot of people were saying that Stephen Big Shot Shaw was the favorite in that fight. But I say, man, look, when you get people online capping and caping for you, man, and they don't, and it's really just a bond and them really trying to leech or I guess attach their trailer to your wagon or your wagon to your truck or whatever they trying to do. They trying to ride the wave. I don't think it's that good, man. Sometimes, man, to let them go overboard with it because it sets the expectation of the fans so high. It sets the expectations of the fans so high that when you have an average performance or you have a loss like that where it was clear that you didn't have another level, you didn't have another gear, you didn't have anything extra. And so it was a statement. So the study shows that Stephen Big Shot Shaw could beat the shit out of Jared Anderson. I think 90% of us would say that's a lie. On activity alone. Especially if it was the fact that the power and if everybody want to reduce, see, because it's you gotta actually listen to people when they talk about boxing, because if you're gonna reduce Ajagba and say Ajagba is not as good as what we thought he was, and he beat Stephen Shaw on activity alone, how good is Stephen Shaw? Yeah, it don't make sense, right? But you'll catch people talking in boxing, man, and sometimes I just think they like hearing their boxing mouths, man. They don't really use their boxing minds. So we got to be more responsible, man. I think it was a learning experience for Stephen Shaw, and I think, man, it wasn't like he can't box. But was it the power of Ajagba that made him put his hands in his pockets, or was it just overhyped? We could say bad night, but they call him Big Shot. He was looking like Big Shaq at the line. So Shaw's Big Shot was a no-go. You know what I'm saying? It was a no-go. Moving on. Shu-Shu. You know, I had him runner up as my prospect of the year last year, and right at the end of the year, he wasn't able to get that fight. And he came out and he looked really good. I think Shu-Shu is everything that we think he is at this point. I think that he's one of the saving graces right now for Top Rank. It gives us a lot to look forward to, man. He's, you know, very modest. I mean, he speaks with confidence, but, you know, he's a very likable guy. You know what I'm saying? He let his work speak for him in the ring. You know what I'm saying? He's very focused. You don't hear him saying a lot of I, me, my's. You don't see him beating on his chest a lot. He just putting in that hard work. And when he get in the ring, he gives us plenty of things to draw from, plenty of things to see that says, you know what? This guy fights and does what he needs to do inside the ring more than he actually talks, which is why I like him. I think he's going to upset some of these guys, man. Some of these guys that like to be in the spotlight. Some of these guys that are actually chasing the fame and the glory and all that before they actually put in the rounds in the ring. I think that's Shu-Shu. I think that's Shu-Shu, man. I'm high on the young man. Every chance I got to review, you know, or comment or give him his praise, you know what I'm saying, I do it. And I don't go overboard. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying he gonna beat any and everybody. I'm just saying that where he's looking and how they're moving him and how they're building him and the skills and the mindset he has, he looks like he's playing this game for the long haul, and he is a force to be reckoned with. He is. I think that's one of the silver linings at Top Rank. That's something that I can actually point to. That's somebody that I can actually point to in Top Rank and say, hey, they are doing right with what they're doing with this guy. You know, they're doing right by what they're doing with that guy right there. His future is promising. Right. But let me get on to the big thing, man. Let me get into the big stuff, man. Let me go ahead and get into the big thing. Man, like a couple weeks ago, right? I was sitting up here, I was like, man, how do we arrive at the point to where Devin and Shakur was on the same side of the street, on the same promotional company, in the same weight division? And unlike how YouTubers are when it comes to these hype jobs that they be hyping up and building up and pushing and boosting and Spire Wars this and creating all these narratives, unlike that, YouTubers was on a dead silence when it came to Shakur and Devin. Now I was saying, hold on, how come we can't get, hold on, they on the same side of the street. Both of them on people's pound for pound list at the same time. Mind you, Tank wasn't. Everybody was saying, oh, Shakur could beat Tank, and people were saying, oh, Devin would watch Tank and all this. So they was on the same side of the street, same promotional company, same division. No energy for that fight to happen. And when I listen to Top Rank, this is what gets me when it comes to Top Rank, because I think that was that Tessitore or Kriegel? Was that Kriegel? I think it was Kriegel kept saying every time he talked about, you know, Shakur's up and coming fight with this guy right here, Yoshi, this Yoshi guy right here from Mario. Every time he brought about, he said, yeah, and that's because three people. That's like, no. That means you're guilt tripping about the matchup. And it sucks that we're getting him. Because this is what I be trying to say, man. It's like when it comes down to YouTube and all this hype and all this glamour and all this glory, and everybody know I rock with Shakur. If him and Devin fight, I got Shakur. If him and Tank fight, I got Tank. Shakur and pretty much anybody else, you know what I'm saying? I got to see the matchup, but pretty much I'm going to ride with Shakur. Outside of Tank, I'm going to ride with Shakur. And that's just my stand. But I can't give him. I say, look, yeah, we understand that, yeah, you made a mistake. He said he don't live with regrets as far as the belt. I said, oh, man, that was one of the biggest mistakes ever made. And I was saying, man, it looked like he didn't even try on the scale. And I was like, man, that might come back to bite him in the tail. Because this is chess, not checker. So I was just like, they're gonna use that as an excuse, because when you're a tough opponent and you don't have any hardware to bring to the table, people gonna say, oh, what do you have to offer? And that's what they were doing. I just didn't understand why we didn't get the energy for Devin and Shakur. Right? Yeah, we know Cruz said no. Yeah, we know Williams and Pater said no. Yeah, we know Cambosa said no. Yeah, we know that what's his name? Jermaine, light-skinned Jermaine, he wanted to smoke. Yeah, we know he wanted it. And so them guys turned you down, but it was one guy. It was another guy, De Los Santos. He said that Cruz and Shakur was easy work. Easy work. And Shakur came on and said, oh, he want a payday. I said, oh. Not only are you following in the footsteps of Canelo, but you actually said that out publicly, man. All boxers want a payday. You know what the boxing mouth said? Oh yeah, man, yeah, no, that don't make, man, you know, it's the other side. Made all kind of excuses about the other side of the street and all this. It's like, no, because the golden rule, and they'll pull this out whenever they need to, is if two fighters want to fight, they'll make a way. And I said, see, this is what we got to be careful of. You can't say, oh, this person dug me, that person dug me. Then it look like somebody that might want to get with you. At least they saying they want to get in the ring. You know what I'm saying? They stop Ryu. He's saying they want to get in the ring with you, and you saying you want to pay that. I said, no, that's the bigger bag excuse. Reinvented in the form of you want payday. You want payday. I said, oh, we can't do that. And look what happened. We getting Shakur against Yoshi. We're getting Shakur Stevenson right there against Yoshi. Like, this is what happens. And then on the flip side, because we didn't have that energy, and now it's the business of boxing and blah blah. So because we didn't have that energy, guess what happened? You see Devin in this picture? The version of Devin that Lomachenko is going to get. Let me see. You see that Loma right there? That's the see that Loma right there? You see that version of Devin right there? That's the version that Devin's going to get. How his fans let this happen, I don't know. That's why I say, man, hey, Devin, man, it might seem like I'll be hating on you, man, but sometimes I'll be trying to tell you what's good. You should have went ahead and took that fight with Shakur. Why? Your fans co-sign and yes, man, everything that you do. They shouldn't do that. Why? You're putting yourself at a disadvantage, giving that man that much time. Now, you were the A-side. Bob didn't run shit, according to what, you know what I'm saying, was being said. Bob didn't run shit. You were the A-side, right? So, how did your fans, you and your fans, your YouTube fans, which don't translate the numbers, by the way, the shit that be going on the boxing mouth, that shit don't translate to no numbers. It don't. But you allowed your fans to convince you that you the best thing since sliced bread, and you can do this and this and that, and you can do this and that, and that you needed to fight Loma when you could have fought Shakur. Now you allow Lomachenko to put you at a disadvantage. How, Mike? Oh, yeah, because they're trying to say that, oh man, Devin's gonna beat the shit. Not that version. It's longer time. We talking about almost a year removed. Because I guess the first fight was what, in May, June? The second one was in October. So if it goes back to May, when you was already looking like that on the scales in May from the first fight, the second one, people was looking at it and people said, oh man, he looked weight drained, and the people on the boxing mouth was basically saying, oh man, well, he also overcritical. It's like, no, the dude looked drained, man. The dude looked like a shell of himself. You let Lomachenko and Bob put you in the... Nobody puts baby in the corner. You let Lomachenko and Bob put you at a disadvantage to where it's going to be a year later. You done got older. Bones done got more dense. Probably grew more. Yeah, and you got a nutritionist so you can make it. But you let them put you in a position where you gotta wait for Loma in May. And I might say, hey, I'm not the biggest Devin Haney fan. You know what I'm saying? I don't hate Devin, but I say, look, man, you can do it. I wanted you to fight him originally, but it took so long, and your people was bashing me for so long. I said, well, fuck it. Go up there and see Regis. Either go see Regis at 140, or you can be at your true weight where we know whether or not that power thing is really real or not. Or you can see Shakur. Or see Loma. And you let Lomachenko and Bob make you wait till May. All the fasting and dedication, and sometimes it helps. Like I remember when Julian J-Rock, that man came off of Ramadan like something vicious, and he put the boot pop pain, the flip-flops on Jared Hurd. He boxed the clinic on Jared Hurd. And that might have been a level of testament to him, you know, fasting and praying and all that. But I just think that you should not have allowed that. If we're playing chess, you should not have allowed them to put you at that disadvantage, because it is a disadvantage. You can say, oh, this version of Loma, that version of Loma. No, Loma, ain't no telling what Loma's been doing all this time. Ain't no telling what Loma's been doing all this time. So instead of getting Shakur and Devin, we going to get Lomachenko versus weight drain Devin. And we're going to get Shakur versus Yoshi. But yeah, everybody want to keep saying Tank name. I don't get it. You know what I'm saying? Everybody want to keep shitting on that man. Everybody want to, you know what I'm saying? So this is my question. Can we get stoppages from either one of them? Because this is what I say. What is beating Shakur? We know ranking wise. We know that they justify Yoshi as being, I think, number 6 in the rankings, blah, and he's going down. They justified it very well because he was next in the rankings, and that's why, and because other people ducked him. No, what does it do for Shakur's profile to fight this dude Yoshi? Absolutely nothing. Nothing. And so all the people saying that they know Yoshi and they know this and this and that, I don't even think the man fought outside of Japan yet. This is not like an Inoue. This is not like Naoya Inoue, who everybody knows. This guy name is Yoshi. We don't know him. I don't know what it's going to do for his profile, but this is what I be trying to tell you. If you a Shakur only fan, a Devin only fan, a Tank only fan, a Boots only fan, a Spence only fan, if you are only fan of any fighter, your OnlyFans will drive you into what would be called obscurity. Because if this dude don't look stellar against Yoshi, if he don't get him out of there, if Yoshi make him look bad, if Yoshi drop him, if Yoshi have any success like Cameron what? Chuka John. If he have any success like Cameron Chuka John had against Boots, your profile is gonna take a hit. They're going to start saying, oh, is he really ready? We seeing it happen all the time. Devin. If Devin don't stop Lomachenko, is he going to get any credit for Lomachenko? Me personally, no. Because everybody wants to say, oh, man, y'all want to diminish Lomachenko. Okay. Y'all gave Teofimo Lopez no credit for beating Lomachenko. So, okay, this is Salido's leftovers, and this is Tio's leftovers. So if you're gonna put some respect on Devin's name for beating this version of Lomachenko, then a lot of y'all gonna have to go back in the history books and give Tio his credit for doing it first. And now we can say years. Now we can say years before. Now we can say years earlier. Now, so this narrative. You know what I'm saying? If your OnlyFans, Devin, are not pushing for you to stop, if you don't get a stoppage, you get no credit for Lomachenko from me. None. Because they want to take back, they didn't even give Tio no credit for beating Lomachenko, but now we're supposed to give him all this credit as to the pick that's necessary or whatever, and because you think that's, no, you see food You see food in Loma, and that's why you sat around, you let them weight drain you and push you back and put you at a disadvantage as the A side. So if it comes down to you fight Tank, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to hear no crying. I don't want to hear about nothing about no concessions, none of that. Lomachenko put you in the parking lot and told you to wait for it. Wait for it. So, and if you don't stop him, by referee, by medically, by him not coming out the corner, if you don't stop him, I'm giving you no credit for Lomachenko. Because all this sparring wars and what you do in sparring and all that, we want to see it under the big bright lights. We never see it under the big bright lights. No, and then they was trying to say, oh yeah, Jojo, I gave you credit for Jojo Diaz, but Jojo Diaz is not a world beater at this point. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't even a world beater at the point when he faced you. Gary Russell had already beat him. You know what I'm saying? Fortuna had already beat him. So, and then Ryan beat Fortuna. So we don't give credit to Ryan for Luke Campbell. Nobody want to give Ryan no credit for Luke Campbell. They don't give him no credit for Fortuna, but you get credit for Jojo Diaz, and now you're gonna get credit for Loma, even though Tio don't get no credit for Loma citing injury. Well, if you don't stop that man, make him quit on the stool like Tank did Hector, since you so good, or you knock him out, you know, because he already saying, oh, he's so big, you know, he's so big, muscular guy. They weight drained you, you allowed it to happen, and now you at the mercy of having to stop him. Or otherwise, all of your fans, you and your OnlyFans, are going to have to come out and do publicly videos giving Tio the credit for actually beating Lomachenko. Because if you lose to this version of Lomachenko, it's not going to look good. Even though I think Loma played you in the game of chess because he made you wait, he put you in silence, all you could do was attach your name to Tank's. You didn't have a fight. We still don't know where, but you could have fought Shakur. Shakur, you could have fought Devin. Shakur, you could have fought De Los Santos, but instead we're getting Shakur against Yoshi, and we're getting Devin against Lomachenko, where Devin is going to be at a disadvantage going into that fight. Weight drain and everything. So we're going to see how this works out. We're going to see how this works out. I don't agree with Shakur fighting no Yoshi. You know what I'm saying? I don't even know the dude. All I can say is that Top Rank, y'all need to have the same, when y'all critiquing people and y'all analyzing people and y'all, you know, you're doing the state of boxing, man, make sure you keep it 100 or either follow Andre Ward. I salute you, Andre Ward, on this one. We don't always see eye to eye on a lot of things, and I know you don't really give a fuck about what I got to say because you're the Hall of Famer. You actually put the gloves on, because now I'm hearing that you would have had to put the gloves on, and if you didn't box or didn't, you know, all that bullshit, whatever, you shouldn't have nothing to say. I salute you, Andre Ward, for taking more of a reserved approach when you're talking about these things, but you need to talk to your co-workers, man, when they start bringing out their little gavel, they start banging the gavel on people, and they start passing judgment, they got their black robes on, they judging everybody. Need to judge what's going on over there at Top Rank. Need to judge it, because it's crazy how they can go in and they can see everything about Jose Ramirez. They don't see anything about Bud, and I know it's the relationship with Bud. They don't see nothing, no similarity between those two activities where they saying bigger bag and not going for legacy and not going for champ. None of that. They just want to harbor, and you know, even up to what's his name, Max, going all overboard, speaking out of turn about Spence and all that. It's like, you're gonna focus. We need to focus on what's going on over there at Top Rank. We need to be 100 about what's going on at Top Rank. And what just happened with Devin and Loma, how y'all made that man wait, that was wrong. How y'all didn't allow, or y'all didn't push for Shakur and Devin, that was wrong. How now we're going to get Shakur and Yoshi, that was wrong. That does nothing for Shakur's profile. Nothing. Because they're going to say he was supposed to do it. They was going to say he was supposed to do it. And by y'all allowing this to happen, y'all giving Devin an excuse when he do go up to 140 to get some kind of step up, some kind of even playing field, some kind of feet wet, whatever party, instead of going straight for the top, because y'all give him all the praise for being the best. But then we got it, oh man, for my first time moving up and all this. Yeah, and this is coming from a guy who never put no gloves on. Been on plenty of fights, never put no gloves on. So take what you want with a grain of salt, because I never actually laced them up. I put on boxing gloves and boxed before, but I've never done it professional or in the amateur. So I guess you can't take what I'm saying. It don't hold no weight. You know what I'm saying? It don't hold no weight. But it's some shit to think about. Definitely some shit to think about, because there's gonna be a lot of people talking about both of those fighters, those marquee guys, those top guys, and Shakur and Devin. If they have any kind of adversity, if Loma fuck up Devin, or if Devin don't stop Shakur, or if this guy Yoshi makes Shakur look bad, when they could have just got it on for a bag, a big fight, and told Lomachenko, go fuck yourself. Bob run it, we know it, and Devin is Bob's news bud. I think he's gonna put Shakur on that same path, even though I think Shakur might. I don't know, man, because this fight with Yoshi happened. So I mean, I know he got Jay Prince in the corner and all that, but man, we got to start analyzing and looking at top rank. I thought they were off to a real good start, going, righting some wrongs toward the end of last year. But this latest thing right here, I don't know, man. I can't say I'm proud of him. I did a show about judging the art of boxing. Me and Amin did a show not too long ago, a couple months ago, about judging the sport of boxing. And credit to this channel, because we talked about instant replay, and them guys actually used it. So they got that right. I'm glad it was a level head. I'm glad at the end of the day they got that judgment right. They used common sense, because they was getting ready to rob Johnny Wright. So y'all are progressive in some things, but as far as building the profiles of these fighters and all the hype and how y'all so overcritical about everybody else outside the top rank, but not your own, we need to fix that. People need to say something about it, and I always say silence is consent. You know what I'm saying? I've been out of the loop because sometimes, man, boxing can be, it can drive you crazy. You know what I'm saying? You can get burnt out with it. All the people with the big platforms, they put out a whole bunch of bullshit, a whole bunch of narrative-driven, backbiting, hating type shit. You know what I'm saying? I don't like it, man. It's like, it make it look like boxing is not in a good place. Even though boxing is in a great place. It's all in how you look at it. So sometimes when I don't have anything positive to say, I don't say anything. Plus, I was getting over this little, whatever this is. Not a cold, because I don't have a temperature, but getting over this little, whatever, congestion issue that I had. But I thank you for everybody who stand beside me and you know what I'm saying, who rock with me regardless, man. I think it's about 381 of y'all. I salute all 381 of y'all. I always say, look, if you have not updated your notifications, sometimes it takes YouTube 24 hours before you see a video. I know it, because I'll update my notifications on the channel that I want to watch or go to, and I won't know until 24 hours later that it actually showed, and it's like, dang, they did that video yesterday. So if you haven't, update your notification. You know what I'm saying? And don't forget to subscribe to your boy. You know what I'm saying? If you haven't already. This is real boxing talk. I'm level-headed, man. I act like I was young before. I act like I got hit in the head before. I act like I got some common sense. I don't just, make up narratives. I don't just, race bait. I don't just, pit the light against the dark. I talk real boxing talk, you know what I'm saying, from a level-headed perspective. That's why I call myself the pulse of boxing. Because at any given point in time, I can tell you on any subject regarding boxing where boxing is. If I don't know the fighter, I'm not going to bullshit you. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to get a whole bunch of smoke and mirrors. And I'm not going to try to persuade you to bet because I have an interest in somebody, copying my link and getting money off of it. It's just not about money. It's about the sport of boxing. I think if we have real conversations, I'm not a part of no clique where I can't say nothing about nobody else. I can say whatever I want about Deontay Wilder. You know what I'm saying? I can say whatever I want about Tank. You know what I'm saying? I just use a level of judgment when I look at all of them. I have my favorite fighters. I have a bias towards southpaws. Everybody know that. And I do have my favorite fighters. But I don't cap and I don't cape. I keep it all the way funky and keep it all the way down the middle. Much like the truth. So let's back off of these sparring wars. You know what I'm saying? Let's enjoy what these boxers are doing inside the ring. And if you behind the camera in any kind of capacity interviewing boxers, don't be shoveling shit on these other boxers and then be all overly critical and sensitive when anybody says something about your favorite fighter. That's not becoming of a boxing journalist. Anyways, man, that's it. That's all, man. I love y'all, man. I love everybody who tuned in to me, man. Look out for new, fresh content, man. You know, I'm always doing my things behind the scenes. And when everybody pick up and everybody want to just be satellites, you know what I'm saying? They just want to regurgitate what everybody else saying. Just know your boy ain't doing that. I come up with my own shit. You know what I'm saying? I analyze my own shit. Sometimes it might cross lines. Sometimes it might sound like somebody else. But trust me, I'm not a satellite. Don't nobody got no battery in my back. Ain't nobody paying this channel to say shit. I love boxing. You know what I'm saying? I love it. I'm loving the digital space. If you need help with your digital, you know what I'm saying? Anything digital, if I can help or show you or usher you into something I'm doing or help you out any kind of way, let me know. You know what I'm saying? If you got an idea about a show or a segment or something that I might, you know, fit well in, you know, let me know. It's bodyworkboxing24/7 at Gmail. And also it's Mr._bodyworkboxing on the gram. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for all my likes. Thanks for all my comments. Thanks for my subscriptions here at Bodywork Boxing, where we don't take things for face value. We do that body work.